Hi, thanks for watching. This is a review of Death Angel, a funky little card game for 1 to 6 players where you get to play these space marines and march on into an abandoned ship floating out in space, much like the film Alien, and wade through it with big armour, big guns, and eventually, hopefully, get to the end. The game relies on the fact that it's of overwhelming odds, because you're put up against these nasty little aliens, like they've burst out of a rhubarb and blueberry pie, whilst you play badass guys with huge bits of armour and guns flying out your arms like sausages. Overall, it's a pretty tough game. I haven't won one yet. I've played about 5. 3 by myself because it's so good. So I think we should take a look at why it is so good and so deadly. And at the same time as being deadly, you want to play it again. It's a game that beats you but doesn't beat you down. The game takes place over a series of rooms where you go from one room to the next, and eventually you get to the very end and have to complete the final objective, which might just be survive. In each room you have to get rid of one of these 2 blip piles, which represent all the aliens which are going to come pouring into the room, and you've just got to wade your way through. Now down the side here is where they'll come up. It's your job to use your men and your hand of cards to play them in the right sort of time to make sure that these aliens are killed and that your men aren't. Every team, every colour, has 2 Space Marines and a hand of 3 cards. Every team has the same set or type of 3 cards. They've got a move and activate card, an attack card, and a support card. But on each card that they've got, it's got a special power. So you can see that this one's attack card isn't quite the same as this one's. They all sort of revolve around a certain function, so I can trust that my blue team will lead by example and be quite good at counter-attacking and intimidating the enemy, whilst my other teams will be specialised at different things. So I've got to tailor them to do the right thing at the right time, or so you think. It actually just sort of ends up as a more of a clusterfuck, where everyone's scrambling to get out the way as the aliens munch their way through, and you end up just sort of tossing your not quite so good Space Marines as fodder so you don't lose the guy with the big guns or the guy with the psychic power who's ridiculously good. The cards are a nice idea, and because you can't play the same one again, you have to always think about what you're going to do. But I'm not sure it gives you that real sense of freedom. Maybe that's the point. You're sort of trapped, so it feels like you're all struggling to get out the way or get in the way. To be fair, some cards are really hilarious. I mean, you've got Brother Leon, if I can find him. Heroic Charge. He leaps into battle from anywhere in the line, rolls a die, and if you get a 0, he dies as well. So let's say I have drawn my event card and thrown that down, and some aliens have appeared, and I've chosen a few cards. I've thrown that one down and that one down and that one down, when more realistically I probably spent about 10 minutes staring at them and calculating what would move where and what are my chances. And then it comes down to this guy shooting these. So here's a go. And we come up with a 4. Great! Oh no, you need a skull. So he does absolutely nothing. And then it comes down to this guy, and so he has a shot as well. And everyone gets to shoot, and everyone rolls some die, and some things might die, but actually you're left with a couple of gene stealers left. And then it's your turn to defend. Let's say a support token was put on him during the round. So he's now got this little gun that you can hurl at the enemy, and eventually he might end up with 50 million guns all strapped to his belt like backup guns, just so he can throw them at the bad guys and kill them with flying pistols. But anyway, it's his turn and the die is rolled. And we come up with a 1. Luckily enough, he's got that pistol he can throw, because he needs to roll more than the number of gene stealers against him on this die, otherwise he'll die. We rolled a 2. Lovely. This guy over here, he's lucky enough alive. But if he was to roll a 0, he would just get eaten. Like, that would be it. And that's the real problem with this game. Whilst it all feels very tactical and people are shifting their location and swapping sides and hammering the button on the door to make it close, so when you move the next level you get to cut off any gene stealers that are remaining. It just feels a bit harsh. You could roll a 0 and you could just die, or roll a 5 and survive a massive wave, and it sort of feels great, but at the same time it's a bit ridiculous. If you're the sort of player who finds things like when you roll a die and you're or you're then it's all about whether you can stand it. And if you can, this is a fantastic game. And if you appreciate the fact that everything's got a chance to fail, it's a fantastic game. And where it really comes into its own is the late game, when things haven't gone right and people have died. They walked right into the room with their big cannons and got their face mauled off in the first 5 seconds without doing anything. That's kind of hilarious. And then when you're just at the end and you're still rolling your 5s for this one guy who just can't die, it's brilliant. And you really feel like you've got to the end with just the one last guy and you were so close, but still not close enough. As well as all the killing and the bloodshed in the game, there are lovely little additions which make the missions quite interesting, because you get to plan out your mission by using these cards and you put them all together randomly. So you go through different rooms and every room has a different effect and different sort of way in which the bad guys might appear or make it harder for you to get through. Some even have little functions where you have things like spore chimneys that appear or artifacts that you can pick up. Or the hilarious Prometheum tank where you can just mash the buttons and kill all the bad guys, but there's a chance you'll die. And then there's even the control panel, which has a variety of cool effects. One of my games ended up in the one last guy on the very last room, and he was just mashing the control panel wildly while fending off aliens left and right using a special power. And he lasted for 3 rounds. Eventually, he did get eaten. But for the Emperor? Sergeant Lorenzo, we will remember you. And that's the point. You can use all your men the next time. You can give it another go. Now, the game is designed really well. It's a great little game that you can just pop out of this beautiful box and have a go at. And because it's Fantasy Flight Games, you know you're getting a good product. The box itself is really quite nice. The inlay, well, look at that. Simple. You can shovel the little bits in there, hide them all away like a little badger hole like you want to do when you're on the ship. Hide. And it gives you all these options and these lovely little things to do. And I mean, the tokens, it is a bit ridiculous that you throw pistols at your friend to try and help them, but they're really nice. And it's pretty to look at. It's not hard to understand what's going on. So, I would buy Death Angel if I were you. I'd buy it if you've got a group of friends who like simple games, or you've got a lot of time on your hands and you have no friends, like me. All in all, it's pretty worth the money. And if you like Warhammer, it's got that feel of your men running in and being picked off one by one until eventually you get that struggle of a win. And you will want to play it again, so why not? Yeah, thanks for watching.